we've got another escrow requirement relative to closing escrow accounts that we need to talk about. And this is relatively new. Last several years kind of came along with TRID. Actually, the effective date is October of 15, so it's been several years now, almost 10. Anyway, very top of 29 works like this. If you have a required escrow account and it's being canceled, okay, there's a notice that has to be provided. So it applies to, from a scope standpoint, consumer purpose, closed end, secured by a first lien on real property or a dwelling. That's letter A1, very top of page 29. The timing on this thing. Well, if the customer is requesting the account be closed, okay, they have to have this disclosure mailed out to them so it's in their hands 3 days before you close the escrow account. If anyone other than the consumer is canceling the escrow account, they have to have this in their hands 30 days prior to cancellation of the escrow account. Now, you've got to be careful. There's some other factors here that have to be considered. If it's an HPML-related escrow account, you don't ever get to cancel it. It can only ever be canceled by the applicant, and that's only if you allowed them and certain criteria were met, and we'll cover that criteria a little bit later on. So you don't necessarily get to cancel certain escrow accounts. Now, non-HPML escrow accounts, you might be able to cancel them. Flood insurance escrow accounts, you can't cancel those if you're required to have them in the first place. So you've got to know what you're working with here relative to the cancellation request. Okay, the borrower, there are certain escrow accounts they can't cancel. Again, we'll talk about those as well. So if they request the cancellation, this has got to be in their hand 3 days prior to cancellation. If anyone other than the consumer has to get this 30 days prior to the account being canceled. The in your hand thing, okay, let's go to that page 29, letter C. Means you followed the mailbox rule. So today is Wednesday, or I'm sorry, today's Tuesday. So if we drop the notice in the mail on Tuesday, assuming we don't have evidence of earlier receipt, it's assumed to have been received on the third day after it was dropped in the mail. So drop it in the mail on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's deemed to be in hand. It means on the third day after that, you can cancel. On the 30th day after the in-hand moment, you can cancel the escrow account depending on who's doing the cancellation. There's a model form on page number 30 of that notice, same one that you see on the screen. There's no signature requirement, but this has to be a separate piece of paper as well. Similar to that question we took in the break, it can't be part of something else. Okay, it can be sent with other something else's, but it's got to be its own freestanding document. It's got to have 10-point font. It's got to look, walk, and talk like this. No signature line required. Simply demonstrate compliance with this requirement. My recommendation is you have some procedures, because it's probably few and far between that anyone ever comes to you and asks to cancel their escrow account, or whether it's you or the applicant asking to do the cancellation. You'll want to make sure you've got some procedures to follow in the event that this is requested.